So Google, Alphabet, right, for everybody out there, really hit it on all cylinders. Earnings, they blew it out. $1.89 versus $1.51. Revenue beat by more than $1 billion, 80.54 against 78.59. But I'm not news reading for you, but they generated $8 billion in advertising revenue from YouTube this quarter, beating that number and growing by double digits percent, by the way. You know, they only paid like $2 billion total for YouTube. Now it generates $8 billion a quarter of revenue for the company. Here's the other one though, Pat. Google Cloud, 28% growth, $9.57 billion. This was a big one, you know. Where were some other things that tie to the overall AI space? CapEx expenditure growth up by about $1 billion year on year. And by the way, the smallest growth year on year of all the AI companies, and we'll talk about that throughout the show. But Pat, here's another thing. They launched a dividend. Google, a growth company.
No, I know, right?
Now here's the thing, though, that's super interesting about that, though, Pat, is this good or bad? Because when companies start to become dividend companies, the question mark is always, is that because you don't expect to be able to continue growing at a fast enough rate? Or is this kind of like the super flex of Ruth Porat and the financial engineers behind the company saying, look, you can invest in growth and get a dividend. I mean, it's not a huge dividend. It was like 20 cents a share.
Yeah.
But it was still something meaningful to say, hey, we're going to pay. And by the way, they intend to pay quarterly cash dividends into the future. So this was really, really big. They also, announced a $70 billion buyback. So they're saying we got more cash to put back into the till. So they really hit it on all fronts. They're growing in all areas. The cloud business, Pat, and we mentioned this a lot after Google Cloud Next, their AI strategy is working. They've vertically integrated TPU. Now they got Axion, so they're going to get more margin. And by the way, that was probably the biggest flex that Porat said, was that she basically said something along the lines of, AI is actually going to accelerate our gross margin. And I saw this, I didn't hear if it was from her or it was a sort of a summation of something she said, but basically we don't need to spend as much because we've been doing this longer in terms of the CapEx expenditure in AI. And companies like Meta have to spend so much because they're playing catch up to what we've done, because I think that the joke or the line was because they were busy investing in virtual reality over there while we were investing in AI. But Pat, a banger of a quarter, got me back in the boat, feeling good about how things sit, rock and rolls.
Yeah, Dan, I am usually a big transcript guy. And for Google, they don't have a presentation. They don't have an immediate transcript. And 2 hours even after the call, it wasn't there. So I sent out a snarky tweet, talking about all the insights I got out about Google Cloud. But even though I got in at 1 a.m., I did go in this morning and look at the transcript, and here's what I pulled. I mean, obviously, on the income statement, we had revenue at $9.6 billion, about a 28% increase, and then almost $1 billion in profitability. So $0.9 billion, $900 million. They just keep getting more profitable. Now, in the call, right, big call outs, as you would expect on AI. 60% of funded Gen AI startups and 90% of Gen AI unicorns are Google Cloud customers. They also pointed out TPU v5b, generally available, and of course, NVIDIA's latest generation of Blackwell GPUs. The company spent almost as much time on silicon as it did the overall cloud business, which, again, semiconductors are eating the world here. And they devoted, a couple lines to Axion, the new ARM-based CPU, says it performs 50% better than compatible x86-based systems. That's pretty amazing, in this day and age to call out homegrown silicon here. Final interesting thought, they lumped YouTube and cloud. I got to tell you, for the life of me, I don't understand this at all. So listen, some advice for Google. If you want Google Cloud to be taken more seriously, don't lump it in with YouTube, a consumer property and ads. That's one thing. And secondly, have a presentation or put out the transcript or your prepared remarks out there.
They should bring Thomas on the call. Why not?
Totally. I mean, consumer ad companies, I'm not just picking on Google here. Consumer ad companies do this a lot, right? Consumer packaged goods, food companies. They don't give a lot. They force you to go to the call. That was cool like 10 years ago. Some investor relations and CFOs, hey, if you need to show up to the call to get to the good bit. So rant over Google crushed it. I'm trying to figure out, listen, I'm a tech industry analyst, not an equities analyst. How much of the bump is related to the dividend and how much is related to
Can I make a guess as not an equities analyst?
Yes.
It was all about the growth. Yeah. They just beat it up. Actually, I think the div, if anything, maybe because that comes out of cash. So it impacts growth. Anyways, just my guess.